Hey guys, so we made it to Colorado. We're in Denver, so we came by Stranahan's. We're going to walk through today with Jason, learn a little bit about Stranahan's. If you guys followed me any last year, you know that the Founders 12 year was one of my considerations for Whiskey of the Year. Freaking fantastic whiskey. It was the first thing I'd ever had from Stranahan's. Quite frankly, it spoiled me. So I'm here today to see what they're going to let us taste and to see if they've got something that lives up to that. I haven't had a Stranahan yet that I disliked. We'll walk through today, check them out, see what they think about it. Y'all stay tuned. Cheers.
Welcome guys, I am Jason. I think I've met most of you already, but I'm our national whiskey educator for Stranahan's. I used to cover all of Proxima whiskeys for Colorado, Bushmills, Pendleton, Tin Cup, Proper 12, you know, all those. And now I get to come back and just cover Stranahan's nationally, which is way more fun.
Awesome.
I do all of our barrel picks, handle all that fun stuff. I started here as a tour guide and distiller. Yeah, so here we are. So since you guys all know your stuff, like I said, we're kind of skip through this a little bit, kind of abbreviated tour, and go taste some fun barrels and just hang out.
That's it.
Main thing I'll start with though, let's talk history before we get going. This is gonna be the longest story I tell you the entire time, but the story starts with this guy above us in these photos. That is Jess Graber. Jess Graber is our founder, and he is actually from Kansas City, Missouri. He moved here in the 70s because he wanted to be a mountain man, and he picked up and moved to Boulder. I mean, no offense to this, but Boulder was not the mountain man life he wanted to live. So he picked up and moved to Woody Creek, Colorado, which is a town right outside of Aspen. It's a very small farm community, really, really small town. To this day has one bar. That one bar is the Woody Creek Tavern. So he moved a mile away from the Woody Creek Tavern. That became his watering hole. He started a construction company. So he was doing like bathroom remodels, house remodels, normal construction stuff. He was a volunteer firefighter for the Aspen Fire Department and a rancher. He, to this day, has 19 horses that he takes care of.
Oh, wow.
His daughters are very much in the horse, what do you call it? I don't know how you'd say that, but equestrian, yeah. Very much into that. That's a big word. Yeah, it's impressive.
Big word for Elmo.
Yeah, that's too much. I drink too much whiskey to be able to pull that word out. But anyway, so he's up there, and along the way he meets this guy named Larry the Missouri River Rat. It's his legal name. And him and Larry start moonshining. As you could guess, they're making corn whiskey sugar shine. Normal moonshine backwoods stuff. This is the 70s, right? So eventually, Jess invites Larry to come moonshine at his ranch, just in his barn. They were using river water, pumping it up, cooling down the still with river water. Just kind of normal moonshine stuff, right? Instead of giving cookies to his construction clients, he was giving out jars of moonshine. And his clients started saying, hey, this is pretty good stuff. How did I get in your Christmas list every year? And so he kept on going. Larry eventually moved back to Missouri and gave the still to Jess. And Jess was just moonshining in his spare time. Along the way, he met this guy, George Stranahan, who happened to own a bunch of stuff up in the area. And one night, there was actually a barn fire at George's ranch called Flying Dog Ranch. So he gets there, he looks up on the hill, and he sees a barn burning down to the ground, flames everywhere. And he sees this guy frantically throwing 53-gallon full-size barrels out of the fire. It's George, right? George is throwing these 53-gallon barrels out of the fire. He's watching this. He's like, all right, obviously the barn doesn't matter. Whatever's in those
That's
barrels
the whiskey is what matters.
must matter, right?
Yeah.
So he runs in. They save the majority of the barrels. Barn burns to the ground. After they're kind of stomping out what's left of the fire, rolling up the hoses, George goes over to Jess, shakes his hand, thanks him for helping him save those barrels, explains to him that those barrels were a barrel-aged beer experiment that he'd been working on. So he was aging a Scottish ale, 100% malted barley beer in his barn. This is like late 70s.
I think I'd be
80s,
pretty
right?
upset if that's what we say.
Yeah,
yeah.
It worked out pretty well for him though, because what he ended up doing, he ended up saying, hey, I'd love to give you one of these barrels as a gift, as a thank you. So he gave him 53 gallons of barrel-aged beer. 100% Scottish ale, 100% malted barley. So he gives him that. Being a moonshiner, anything with alcohol in it, right in the still, right? He runs it. Ends up being way better than the corn whiskey sugar shine stuff he'd been making. And he kind of has this moment to himself like, why is this so much better than my previous moonshine?
Oh, wow.
And
See where this is going.
yeah, he
Wow.
kind of makes the connection that the Scotch use 100% malted barley, right?
Yep.
And makes that connection. He's like, you know what? I think I can do this, but let's do it in more of an American way. He's talking about bourbon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he takes new oak wood chips, puts it in that 100% malted barley distillate, lets it age, gets better. He's like, oh, there's something here. So he goes back to George. He's like, George, this is the best moonshine I ever made. I think there's something here. Have you ever thought about opening a distillery? George pretty much immediately tells him, absolutely not. I'm good. The reason for that, when you get to know George's history, George patented some of the first spark plugs that were out there in the world. So he patented Champion spark plugs
Oh, wow.
way back in the day. His family had some money because of it.
Okay.
And with that money, he did a lot of good things. He opened up the Woody Creek Tavern, only bar in Woody Creek. He owned Flying Dog Beer. Any of you local guys that have been here a while, maybe you recognize that name. Flying Dog Beer is now in Maryland. But he opened Flying Dog Beer. The beer that he gave Jess was old Flying Dog beer that he was aging. He also is just an angel investor, donor. He helped open up a lot of schools, churches, other things in the mountains. But his response to, do you want another business, was hard no.
Yeah.
I'm good. Time passes, a couple years. They're drinking at the Woody Creek Tavern one night. He pulls out another jar of that moonshine. They maybe finish the bottle. And he tries again. He says, George, come on, we got to do this. But what if we take your last name, we slap it on the bottle, we call it Stranahan. George's like, you know what? I got a little more time now. That's a strong name. I like it. Let's do it. So they go into business together. They kind of finally came into agreement in the late 90s. It took them 6+ years to get Stranahan's created. Flying Dog at the time was downtown by Coors Field, downtown Denver. And George actually owned the building next door. So what they were doing, Flying Dog was making the initial wash, pumping it up through the roof, over and down, where Jess was distilling it, and that was the start of Stranahan's. What's really cool to me, though, about the whole story with this is from day one, Jess took that 100% malted barley distillate, put it into 53-gallon new oak, level 3 char from the Independence Dave Company barrels from day one. He never went smaller than 53 gallon. He waited 2 years to release any product. So the first bottle didn't come out until 2006. But in 2004, that made Stranahan's the first licensed whiskey distillery in Colorado since Prohibition. which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Since then, there are now like roughly 110 licenses to distill in Colorado. It's pretty wild. But anyway, 2006, first bottle comes out. We didn't know what American Single Malt was at the time, so we just called it Colorado Whiskey. Nowadays, we know it's American Single Malt. But yeah, they got going. 2009, Flying Dog moved to Maryland. That's where they still are today, still in operation. He had to find a new place to do business, so Jess found this building. This building was owned by Heavenly Days Brewery, who had the mash tun, the boil kettle, the whirlpool, and the first 3 fermenters over here. So he came over, he now had brewing equipment to take over. He brought the still from Flying Dog days, which we still use today. And he ran everything down this line. He was aging barrels over there in the back. And this was all our production. The bottling room was a restaurant called the Rack House, which is now downtown. And the back of this building stored wine for private consumers. And before all that, there's a rumor that this building was a beef jerky factory and a paper mill at some point in its life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he took over this place in 2009. Proximo came and basically bought him out in 2011. They had been kind of pestering him since 2007, 2008, basically saying, we love what you do, we just want to do more of it. So they eventually got him to agree to do it. And part of that was he was ready to retire. He was commuting from Aspen area to Denver from 2004 or before that until he retired in 2011.
Good.
For those that don't know, that's a
hike.
3.5-hour drive on a good day with no traffic.
Yeah.
So he was done. He was ready to retire and worked out for him. So he sold the company. Proxima took over. They took his 10-year plan. They did it in a year. And standing here, it's kind of cool. You can see he bought one more fermenter, and all of a sudden, they get pretty much the same all the way down the line. But everyone say hi to Wally. Hi, Wally.
Hey, Wally.
But yeah, so they basically quadrupled our capacity overnight. And to this day, we're still the smallest brand in their portfolio, which is really kind of a fun place to be because we have access to barrels that a lot of other companies our size normally wouldn't have access to. You know, Bushmills is pulling a lot of really great wine barrels. They're also using some other great ex-whiskey barrels. We have a lot of great access to used tequila barrels, all kinds of fun things that we normally wouldn't have access to that we do. So because of that, we get to have a lot of fun with exploration and barrel finishing.
Awesome.
Which is really fun. But 2011, they took over. Since then, we now own the entire city block. We're rocking and rolling. That's history.
Very cool.
Do you have any thoughts, questions, comments?
No?
All good? Cool. Want to cover American Single Malt really quick?
Okay.
I know you guys normally talk bourbon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, bourbon rye. Yeah.
I just got into single malts last year, and the first one I had was a 12-year Founders that Izzy sent me, and I've been spoiled ever
Founders
since.
is your first.
Yeah,
That's
you
a-
can't.
That's a tough
That's like
entry.
buying your kid a Bentley. Where do you go from
I
there?
mean, that's an amazing entry into American Single Malt. Hard to compare anything else past that to it.
It is.
Cool. Let's talk American Single Malt. So there were quite a few American Single Malt distilleries in the U.S. that at the time, you know, they weren't American Single Malt. We were just all making this single malt thing that no one knew what to call it. So we called it Colorado Single Malt. And other people called it like Oregon Single Malt, Washington Single Malt. No one knew what to call it. So we all came together in 2016. There was actually a distillers convention here in Denver. They all came together, they planned a meeting, and basically they all planned this meeting. They thought it was going to be like 2-3 hours of all these distillers kind of arguing with what it should be. It took like 30 minutes. They all pretty much agreed. We formed the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission, and they started, you know, pushing this onto the TTB to make it a category. It took from 2016 to 2024. Technically, it was December 2024. It officially became a category January 2025. But it took that long to get this moving. So now we have a category. We're all following a set of rules, right? And here's what those are. So it has to be 100% malted barley, has to be mashed, distilled, and aged in the U.S., but distilled at one distillery, has to be aged in oak containers not exceeding 700 liters. A lot of leeway in that, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to add coloring, you can, but you have to disclose that on the bottle. There's also a straight American Single Malt designation following pretty much the same rules as bourbon. So in that window, there's a lot of freedom, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So my kind of takeaway from that is if you try an American Single Malt and it's not your favorite thing, try another one. because there's a lot of variance, especially in this giant country of the U.S., right? There's a lot of variance in climate. There's a lot of variance in production, even within those standards. So kind of a fun category. A lot of room to experiment and play.
I bet.
Cool. Any questions on any of that?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
All right. Let's kind of go over some quick production stuff. You guys all know what you're doing, so I'm not going to get too far in the weeds here, but we'll just kind of cover down a couple things. So we're going to use, in our mash bill, majority pale malt. All right, 100% malted barley, majority pale malt. And then we're going to sprinkle in a portion of caramel and chocolate malts. It's a pretty small portion. It's about 4% each. This is going to be the majority of it, right? These are just adding a little bit of extra character, a little bit of extra flavor. Now, we're going to take that, we're going to turn that into a grist. We're going to go through a roller mill. So you guys, bourbon people, you guys normally know hammer mill, right?
Yeah.
You're going to turn this into flour. You don't want to do that so much with barley. You guys get a chance, you should compare some on-grain single malts for some off-grain single malts. A lot of the Kentucky distilleries that are very famous for the bourbons that are making single malts, they run their single malts through the same process that they run their bourbons, right? So they're going to hammer mill, they're going to go through usually their continuous column stills, so on and so on. Try them side by side. A lot of the craft guys are doing off-grain, partly because they have to, based on our equipment, but that's going to be your grist. And you can see that's a much coarser grind.
Right, for sure. It's not like powder.
Yeah, it's not quite powder, right?
Now,
So,
are you guys malting your barley here, or is it come in already malted?
Yeah, we get it malted already. It's all of our barley's from San Luis Valley.
Okay.
And then just the caramel and chocolate are just up in the Wyoming region, but it's all Rocky Mountain barley.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we take that grist, goes to PVC pipe down into this mash tun. We do our normal cooking, just like every other distillery, same process. This is where, though, we're going to pull off grain, right? So normally we talk on grain, off grain. This is where we're going to pull off grain. That grain's going to come, well, wort's going to drain through first, go over the boil kettle. We're going to open that door, grain's going to come out. Follow that auger outside to a local, a dumpster or a local farmer will pick that up twice a week.
So it's not dried, it's still damp when he gets
still
it?
damp. Yeah.
No kidding?
Yeah,
Okay.
they use it as cattle feed. It's good for the cows.
Okay.
Works for us. It's 75,000 pounds of
a lot of
grain
places
week.
dry it, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, so we send it out in that dumpster weight. They pick it up twice a week and out it goes.
Cool, cool.
But yeah, so we now have a off-grain wort going in the boil kettle and the whirlpool. Now, you've been to a lot of distilleries. You guys have been to a lot of distilleries. Boil kettle and whirlpool, not normal.
Not at all.
That's a brewing technique.
Yes.
So what we're doing here is we're kind of following what Flying Dog used to do back then.
That makes sense now that you told that story.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have known that
Kind of
otherwise.
got to start with the story to have this place make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the boil kettle, that's normally where you'd add hops, right? So here we're going to take that wort. We're not adding hops, of course. That gets really bitter. You guys have probably tried some of those hopped whiskeys.
It's not really needed at this point.
No,
right?
they're a little bitter, so we don't need it, right? So, but what we're doing here is we're boiling off, and we are technically sanitizing, clarifying that wort up, and then sending it through the whirlpool, which if you're making beer, that's where all the hops are going to be pulled out, right? That liquid spinning around, centrifuging everything in the middle, down to the bottom, and then you can separate out a clean wort, hopless now. We're not making a beer, so why are we doing this? It's just what we did back in the day for Flying Dog.
That's why
for us.
You're just doing it because you don't know what would happen if you removed it from the process, right?
Yeah, it would change our profile.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we still do it. One of our past master distillers, Owen Martin, told me something. He was the master distiller here when I came on, and he was kind of a mentor to me at the time. But something he told me was this place is beautifully inefficient. There are things we do that don't make sense to a scientific distilling perspective at all times. But a lot of those things are tradition, and if we didn't do them, we would be totally different.
And they're unique to you guys, I would assume, right? That
There
that
are a couple
methodology
distilleries
used
that-
by others as well?
Not really. There are a couple of distilleries out there that do this. This is very beer forward.
Yeah.
And Colorado is also a mecca of brewing knowledge.
Okay.
So because of that, we have a lot of distillers here that come from beer, know how to do this really well, right?
Right.
So we make a great beer to then make a great whiskey. But we do these two things. From here, we have a very clean wort that goes over into fermentation. That then gets added with a brewer's yeast, and we let that ferment for 5 to 7 days. It's usually finished around the 5-day mark, sits for an extra 2 days, and then we crash the fermenters. Yeast drops down to the very bottom, and we send it back into this R2D2 looking refrigerator to repropagate and use again. So once we're done with that, we now have a very nice clean wash at a 7% beer, 7% alcohol that we're going to send through distillation.
Nice. I don't remember what distillery it was. It might have been Old Dominic. I think it was Keith that said, "This is beer," and you know what we call people that make beer? Quitters, because we won't, right? So
yeah. So distillery we call it wash, right?
yeah.
But it's essentially beer. A lot of people don't know what wash is, so it's sometimes easier to say beer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a beer you'd bottle and drink. Right?
No, it's not. You know, it tastes pretty good though. It's kind of it's like a sour ale almost.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of what it tastes like.
Okay.
Unhopped, of course, so it's missing some of the nuance. It's not carbonated either, so it's missing some of that bite.
Yeah.
But I think we did those two things. It'd be pretty good. All right, let's keep on going, guys. Any questions?
So you said some of the bigger guys use still the hammer mill and they do it in like a flour. What do you do?
We're on a roller mill. Roller mill. Yeah.
Because I noticed it made it look like grits.
Yeah, so the roller mills, that's going to be more your Scottish traditions. That's going to be more what your Scotch distilleries use.
And it's going to change the flavor, I guess.
It does.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. I mean, it changes the flavor. Usually when you do a hammer mill, you're exposing more of the grain, the cellular structure of the grain.
And
so,
losing probably still.
no, well, you get more yield.
Oh, okay.
You get more yield out of it. So it's more efficient, but it creates a different profile. You get a little more of the grain forward characteristic than roller mills do. Roller mills typically give you a little bit more of the fruit forward, where the other side's gonna be a little more grain forward, usually. At least in the single malt world.
I'm kind of like, I have one single malt, and I don't really what
All right, so we're gonna double distill. You guys are pretty familiar with these stills. I'm not gonna talk too much about how they work or anything like that, but we're gonna double distill. Shipping run, 800 gallons per still. They're all fully manual. So on the side, you guys can see steam valves, on, off, that's all we got. No computers hooked up to any of this, it's all manual, all done by sensory, touch, feel. But we're gonna do our shipping still from 2,400 gallons of wash into 3 stills. We get about 450 gallons of low wines, 40% alcohol. From that, we get 220 gallons to put into our spirit stills. The guy on the right there, that was the first still we had back in Flying Dog days, back when. So I came over, followed us here, we're still using it today. But so we split that up. That goes in these 2 stills. We make our heads and our tails cuts. You guys are all familiar with that. And then from that, we get about 220 gallons at 70% alcohol, 40 proof. So we're going through 4 plates, kind of normal stuff. No, 800 gallons per still here.
Yep, 2,400.
We get 450 gallons at 40%,
Okay.
roughly. That fills up these 2.
Okay, so
we between the
225, 225?
Yep, roughly. Between the 2, we get 220 gallons of high wines out.
Wow.
So it's like a 9% yield.
Yeah, that's
side.
wow.
Yeah.
And does it go to the thumper from there, or?
No thumpers.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have our plates, right?
The plates on top,
So
kind
plates
of like
are
a
down.
column would be, like pot to column.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're all hybrid stills. So we have our pot column hybrids.
Okay.
So 4 plates in each one. And if you actually see over here, we have one of these pulled out. So this is going to be a
This is the copper plate.
copper plate, one of the bubble caps from one of those bubble plates.
Okay.
So you can see what happens. The copper plate's sitting there, right? There's a tube that goes through that copper plate. Those vapors go through that, hit the inside of that lid, roll down the sides, cool up the top side of the plate. And then as that hot vapor is hitting the bottom of that copper plate, it boils again, shoots up through the still.
Nice. Okay.
So every time it does
Did
that,
not know that.
you're getting more what's called reflux, and it's stripping out more and more water, essentially. Raising
Increasing your alcohol, yeah.
Yep. So that's why when you're making vodka, you have a column that's like 25 plates tall.
Right.
You want to go through as many of those as possible. Most of the whiskeys in the U.S. are using it still kind of in this way. There's a couple that aren't. They're doing more of the thumpers, but the column's a very efficient way of doing that. So we're gonna go through these long guys with the condensers, cooling those down. Same with all these. This is a 3-part condensing system. But yeah, so we get our high wines out of that. You guys can take a little whiff. Actually, this will be fun. Stick your finger in there.
If I had a nickel. What are we tasting there? You're gonna tell us.
What is the proof of your high wines?
So 140 coming off the still.
Okay.
We cut it down to 110.
You go in the barrel at 110?
We go in the barrel at 110.
Okay.
You good?
That camera, man, I like it. You're more methodical with it than I am.
Give it a little whip.
I got some B-roll for you.
Sometimes I go back and watch my videos and I'm like, oh God, I'm getting sick because it's like you're going too fast and
Honestly, yeah.
shaking.
Here, give it a little.
Hand sanitizer.
What do you guys taste on that? Pretty sweet, right?
Yes, it's sweet.
Very
Corn.
Very
Yeah.
sweet. So
It almost tastes like corn would taste.
yeah, pretty sweet. I get a lot of almost like a grappa kind of note.
Okay.
It's like a kind of a winey. You know, a lot of people say honey, agave, aloe vera. Yeah, but yeah, so 140 proof coming off the still. We cut that down using our great Colorado water down to 110 proof. Everyone talks about their water and how great it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, everyone's
Memphis,
gonna say they have great
Memphis water, right?
Yeah. Whatever. Colorado, we're coming right off the mountains. You know, it's great water. So we're gonna use that water to cut down from 140 down to 110, where we go in the barrel from there. The other thing, you guys probably all familiar, a lot of bourbon guys are going in the barrel at 125, right?
Yeah. I prefer lower barrel entry proof for.
Lower barrel entry is gonna give you a sweeter product on the other side. It's gonna give you a lot more character development. You know, a lot of those, when you're going in at 125, you're just maximizing, which you gotta do it, right? But we chose to go in at a lower proof because it made our product better.
Yeah.
We still do it. And yeah, we're gonna go into new American White Oak barrels.
I can't
level
believe
3
how
jar.
similar that is to like bourbon white dog flavor wise with that just being barley. Like
It'd
I
be
would have
fun
thought.
to try those side by side.
Yeah, I'm sure then you could probably really discern the
Uh-huh.
difference, right?
Yeah, there's a lot in that when you get to try it, sit down with it, and really explore it. It's really interesting. There's a lot of nuance in there. But one thing to understand too, with our whole process, that's a little different than a lot of, you know, when you're comparing to bourbon and other distilleries. We don't have any other mash bills. Nothing changes in this process. So we've been making the same recipe in one recipe for 22 years now. So we've gotten pretty good at that one
Right
recipe,
on,
right?
right on.
Which allows us to really become masters at the second half of this, which is blending and finishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is always the same.
Yeah, your base product's
Base
consistent.
product's always the same. So all of our differences in our products afterwards come after 4 years of aging.
How
So
many
we go
how
and
many
do
new
a-
barrels a year are y'all laying down
Oh gosh. I think at our peak we were doing somewhere in the 3,000 mark.
a year?
At our peak we were somewhere in that
Wow.
range. But
Y'all keep all those on premise?
we used to. We just opened up a new warehouse about 5 miles away
Okay.
because we had barrels coming out of our
I was
eyeballs.
gonna say this doesn't look nearly big enough to
Yeah,
have
we
all
had,
that.
we had barrels stacked up all over here and over there, and you couldn't see anything.
Right.
So we had
okay.
to open up a new rack house about 5 miles away, and that's holding a good chunk of our barrels. And we have a powered on site.
Cool.
Yeah. Kind of what's up on deck for the next year or two
Is there
this year.
a method to how y'all do that? The more aged stuff's here, the newer stuff's here.
Well, a lot of the aged stuff is here.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of aged stuff is here. The newer stuff's usually shipped out. We don't need it for a while, right?
Yeah.
So it's sent out. A lot of the stuff we think we're going to need in the next 2 years is on site. Yearly. So every year we're going to release a new version of this. That's a different cask finish. So batch 3 of this, 2024, was a Caribbean rum cask. We're trying 2025, which is a local brewer's finish. So we, like I said earlier, we have a lot of beer knowledge here in
It
Colorado.
smells like some kind of wine or like berry or.
I get a lot of chocolate on this.
Do you?
I get a lot of
I
like,
can get it. Yeah, for sure.
which might make sense when I explain what
Like dark
fully what
chocolate
it
and
is.
berries.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So you guys know Avery Brewery? Avery? Yeah. So we
goodness.
traded a bunch of barrels
The
with
finish on that's
Avery
all chocolate.
coffee stout.
Yeah, that's
Coming
that is
up.
Good.
No, no, the old Diamond Peak. I don't know what you're talking
definitely
about.
Delicious.
So, yeah, we traded a bunch of barrels with a bunch of local breweries. So Avery, they aged their coffee stout Tweak in these barrels. They also did a barley wine. And we traded with a River North, Crooked Stave, and Wilderness Provisions, who all did like wild peach ale. And then that's what a blend of this is. So it's coffee style and peach ale, essentially.
Dude, that's got a wonderful mouthfeel.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
It's about
it's so
7-8-year-old total age.
What's the proof point on it?
90.
It drinks warmer than 90. I was expecting it to be higher proof drinking lower.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Like, it's really good.
Yeah.
Did you
proof.
say it was like 118 and it's drinking like 105? You
No.
know, like,
No, 90 proof. The one other thing I want to show you guys in here.
oh my God, that's delicious.
So of course we're going to use Independent Stave Company as our main barrel source, level 3 char. Here's a torn up barrel of one of those. But I want to talk about these guys over here really quick. Blue Peak was the first whiskey I gave you. And we use a modified Solera method using big old fooders over here for that.
Okay.
So in 2018, we filled these all up to the very brim. And then after a year of aging in there, we filled that up with four-year-old whiskey. After a year of aging there, we pulled 30% from the one in the back and then filled that 30% with 30% from 5. That filled that one 4, 30% filled 5, and refilled 4 with new 4 and 5-year-old product. Rinse and repeat.
So Joe was helping me explain like what the interior of that looks like, but I don't know that I really understood. What does the interior of that look like?
It's just toasted. So you can see
It's just a huge barrel. There's
it's just
nothing.
a huge barrel, nothing in there. Yeah, it's just empty, huge barrel.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's just toasted. So instead of a level 3 char, it's going to be a very light toast. That toast is going to help that barrel mellow out, right? It's also going to be a really good blending technique,
That is
right? So this gives our head blender Justin a lot of levers to pull to make a more consistent product and a better product over time,
I'll
right?
get you to get a picture of me beside one of those.
Yes, please, please do.
Yeah, right.
3,200 gallon.
3,200 gallons.
So one other thing, we talked about American Single Malt earlier, right? In the category.
We'll take 2 barrels.
I know, right? We'll take 2. God, that'd be,
God.
whew, that's a barrel
18-wheeler
That's
truck
a barrel
full
pig.
of bottles.
Yeah. So with these, this is not, it can't count as aging, right? Because remember we talked about the category earlier, 700 liters is the max aging size. So this is a finishing technique, a blending technique. 700 liter times divided by 4, roughly.
Okay.
So it's like 100, what is that, 150, 160, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, under 200 gallons.
Yeah, under 200 gallon. So this is way over that.
Yeah.
So this can't be considered aging, right? So it's a vatting or a blending, technically, right? You could argue there's 10-year-old product in there. But
Right. If we were talking bourbon or something else,
yeah,
right?
it's also why you'll never see a age statement for us on Blue Peak. It's because technically it would be a 4-year by aging legal standards.
Right.
But we put 4 and 5 year in, and then it just continues through that process, and 70% stays in each barrel through time. So hard to say what's actually in there, right?
Yeah, really, you don't know.
Yeah, hard to say.
If the lights go out and that bottle goes missing, yeah, I'm already. I told him, I was like, cut the camera. I'm going to get that bottle. I'm telling you, that bottle ruined me. It was in my whiskey of the year contention, and along with GTS, King Kentucky, and several others. William Heaven Hill 19.
A little birdie told me that you really liked it.
God, it's just so
A
good.
little birdie. Little birdie.
He's blushing.
There's a rumor. I'm telling you.
Yeah, a little birdie told me that you enjoyed this, so I figured
I was scared to death that I was not going to like it. Like, I was like, I don't want to try it. My buddy was like, you're going to love it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And when I tried it, I was like, oh, dear God. Like, what is that?
It's pretty wild.
But obviously, it just about ruins the rest of the game. Like, nothing else has lived up to that yet.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
People have tried it.
I just want to say cheers. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Cheers.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you, man.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Clink.
Cheers. Clink.
There we go.
Clink. There it is.
We could.
Yeah.
Sir?
I'm going to tap. Oh, label's out. Label's out. There we go.
Either there or Timu. You can get them from either one. All right, there you have it, Stranahan's. So we had to cut the camera on you guys for some things. We got to try a ton of barrels. The things that they're doing with some finishes, absolutely extraordinary. If you find this out in the market and somebody's pouring it, you need to try it. Stranahan's has totally opened my mind up to something new away from the bourbon game. I'm still a bourbon guy. I'm still a rye man forward. But I'm telling you right now, Stranahan's is doing something special with American Single Malts. So y'all check them out. And I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Cheers.